All right, let me ask you something. What would you do if you poured your heart and soul into your biggest dream only to have someone slap a giant red F on it? We're going to dive into an incredible story about conviction, and it all starts with a young boy who just really loved horses.
That boy's name is Monty Roberts, and to really get a feel for the man he grew up to be, you've got to understand where he came from. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of his journey.
Okay, so part 1, a boy's big dream. This is where it all kicks off, right in the middle of a childhood that was, well, anything but typical. So Monty grew up completely surrounded by horses. His dad was a horse trainer, which, sounds pretty cool, right? But what that actually meant was a life on the road. They were always moving from one stable to the next, one ranch to another. And because of that, his school life was, well, let's just say it was constantly getting interrupted. And that little detail, it becomes super important later on. So picture this. It's his senior year of high school. A teacher gives the class a pretty standard assignment. Write a paper about what you want to be when you grow up. Now, for a kid like Monty, who lived and breathed horses, this wasn't just some homework assignment. It was everything. It was his whole world.
See, he didn't just want a job with horses. No, he wanted to build an entire world for them. His dream was huge, and it was crystal clear. He was going to own his very own horse ranch. And man, did he pour every single drop of that passion into this paper. He didn't just write a paragraph or two. No way. He turned in a 7-page paper. 7! He laid out every single detail of the future he saw in his mind's eye.
And this is what I mean by detailed. This wasn't some fantasy. It was a full-on blueprint. He described a 200-acre ranch. He drew a map showing exactly where all the buildings, stables, and tracks would go. He even included a detailed floor plan for the house he was going to live in. I mean, he literally put his entire future down on paper. So he turns in this paper, just bursting with passion and incredible detail. But what happens next is, well, it's a brutal reality check. And this one moment, it's going to define the rest of his life.
So a couple days go by. He's in class. The teacher starts handing back the graded papers. You can just feel the anticipation, right?
And then he sees it, right on the front page, a huge red F, a failing grade. He's just stunned. He waits till after class and goes up to the teacher to ask, why? The teacher's answer was just brutal. She told him, flat out, that his dream was totally unrealistic, impossible to achieve. And then she added the real kicker, for a boy like you.
And look, from her point of view, she was just being realistic, She looked at the facts. Monty didn't have any money. He had no resources. He came from a family that was always on the move. So in her mind, a dream this big wasn't just a long shot, it was completely impossible.
You can imagine how crushed he was. He goes home, tells his dad what happened. He's standing at a huge crossroads here. And what his dad says next, well, it's probably not what you'd expect. So the teacher did give him an out. She wasn't totally heartless. She offered him a deal. Rewrite the paper with a more realistic dream, and she'd change his grade. Basically, give up the dream, and you can get an A. So of course, Monty goes to his dad, hoping he'll tell him what to do. But his father doesn't give him the answer. Instead, he does something really wise. He puts the decision right back on Monty, saying, "Son, this is a really big decision for you. You have to be the one to make up your own mind about it." The choice was all his.
And that brings us to the real heart of the story. Monty has a choice to make. And let's be real, this is about so much more than just a grade in a class.
The two paths couldn't be clearer. Option 1, do what the teacher wants. Write a new, realistic paper and get a better grade. Option 2, stick to his guns. Hand in the exact same paper and take the F. It really boiled down to a simple choice: conformity or conviction. He really thought about it for a few days. Weighing his teacher's words against his father's advice, and thinking about that 7-page paper that held his deepest dream. And then, he made his decision.
He walked right back into that classroom, handed that same 7-page paper back to his teacher, and said the words that would change everything for him. "You can keep the F, and I'll keep my dream." Now that moment of defiance, that could have been the end of the story, right? But of course it wasn't. The real lesson, the big payoff, comes many, many years down the road.
The timeline of his life pretty much says it all. It starts with this incredible, detailed dream on a piece of paper. Then, as a teenager, it gets stamped unrealistic with a big F, and then, well,
then it becomes his actual life.
Because today, Monty Roberts owns a horse ranch. And you want to know how big it is? It's 200 acres, exactly the size he wrote down in that paper all those years ago. And what about the house he lives in? It's a 4,000 square foot home, sitting right in the middle of that ranch. Think about that. He didn't just get close to his dream, he built the exact life he described in that paper.
And maybe the best part of this whole story is this. What happened to that old school paper? The one with the big red F? It's not tucked away in some dusty box. Nope. It's framed and it hangs right over his fireplace. A perfect reminder of the day he chose to believe in his own dream instead of someone else's doubt. And that really brings us to the big question for all of us, doesn't it? You know, the teacher in this story, she wasn't some evil villain. She was just limited by her own version of reality. We all have people like that in our lives, people who will try to tell us what our limits are. So the only question that really matters is, who's holding the pen? Who are you letting write your story?